Hey, MLM Nation, it's Simon Chan, and we are going to turn back the clock and go back to one of the classic episodes again. And this is to Frazer Brookes. Hey, he's the ninja. He's awesome. If you don't follow him, definitely go follow him. And the reason I wanted to have this episode on there is because it was, Frazer told me afterwards, and he said that it was the episode that inspired him to make an impact on tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people by being a coach. After seeing what I did, and it was briefly after this interview, it was a big game changer. So it is a timeless classic. If you want one of the things you'll learn about being a person of value and what he means by that, and how you went from struggling, his full story, how he got even into network marketing, his parents, and what made him decide to do it. And he kind of rebelled against it and then decided to do it. So I remember the show as it was yesterday. It's a classic. I want you to listen to it again. By the way, if you love these classics, a lot of you don't know, we've had over 800 episodes already. And a lot of these episodes we have so many that Apple, the iTunes, the podcast platforms made us create a separate podcast. So if you want to get these old ones from episode 1 to 300, go search for MLM Nation Archive. Okay, that is where you can get the oldies. But for the new ones, they are all in the MLM Nation. But for all these oldies, go subscribe to it, listen to it. You can see legends like, from Ray Hagdon to Lisa Grossman, Richard Broke, Jordan Adler, the Melton before they became who they were. The late Jessie Lee Ward before she really made that much money. It's really, and they're timeless classics because what they were teaching back then still applies today. And that's why they became successful. So anyway, I'll meet you back in the recap. Right now, let's go into the show. Now take us back to the time machine, back to 2016 to Frazer Brookes.
Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan, and I am fired up to bring our special guest from the UK today, Frazer Brookes. Frazer, are you ready to make it happen?
Absolutely, Simon.
MLM Nation, for those of you who hate school, there is hope. Frazer Brookes got kicked out of high school after his first year because he was too busy having fun and had only an 8% attendance rate. Yes, that's single digits, 8% attendance rate. After he got expelled, the way Frazer said it, he was in panic mode. And he panic found another high school. So basically, that's any school that would just accept him. And he ended up going there and studying construction management. Frazer eventually ended up going to university. And then, check this out, 6 days before his final exam, guess what? His father, none other than the MLM legend, Simon Brookes, decided to distract him, introduce him to the MLM business. Frazer was super skeptical and thought he was way too young, but he decided to join anyway, just to make a few bucks and really just to make his dad happy. Since that big decision, Frazer has graduated and become a full-time networker. He's made a multiple six-figure income and traveled to over 20 countries to build his global empire. So, Frazer, I've given MLM just a brief intro, but I'm going to throw this question out at you that I've never asked anyone before. What was going on in your dad's mind when he decided to tell you about his MLM business right before your exam? Was he hoping that you would fail so you actually become a networker for life? What was going on in his mind?
Yeah, well, he's wanted me to get me involved in network marketing ever since I turned 18. So I had two people really. I had my father who was like every single week, come on, Frazer, you need to get on board. You need to get on board. You need to get on board. And I had the other side, my mother saying, no, exams first. You can look at network marketing if you fail your exams, if you don't, get through. So that's kind of how it was. My dad's very, in my face all the time, always telling me about the benefits of the product, about the business, about the lifestyle, and all of that as well. So yeah, that was exciting. It was. I'm happy I said yes. Put it that way.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Frazer's dad is Simon Brookes. He was featured on MLM Nation 174. I think he's made over 10 million US in his career in network marketing. So let me ask you this: growing up as a father, successful MLM, did you grow up wanting to? I don't want to say this, follow his shadows, but follow his footsteps, being network marketing. Or did you envision yourself doing something totally different? Because a lot of kids, they want to rebellious. They want to do something different. But How did you, what was it like growing up?
Well, it was interesting. And I actually think I'm probably amongst an elite group of people who are a second generation of network marketers. I've actually lived my entire life in a network marketing environment, a full-time network marketing environment. So much so that my first ever event was on the 26th of October, 1987. Now, I was born on March 28th, 1988. So I went to my first live event, when I was actually in my mother's stomach. So I obviously picked up the passion there. However, I never wanted to become a network marketer. Why? First of all, when I was in school, when I was 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, 16 years old, 18 years old, my mum and dad used to come up to the school in a brand new BMW 3 Series convertible, which at the time was one of the best cars you could get. Obviously, we've come a long way since then. And drop me off, and everyone used to go, Frazer, what's your mum and dad do? And I actually didn't know the answer. Genuinely didn't know the answer. And all I used to say was, they help people make money. That's all I know. And what happened was, I'm such a huge introvert. It might not come across on this recording, but I'm a massive introvert, very low self-esteem. So the reason why I said no to network marketing all the time was I didn't want to speak in front of people. I used to go to these events with my dad, and I used to be a kid who used to do a knee slide across the floor when they're doing these events, and cause trouble and throw oranges and apples when people are talking. I was a fool looking back at it, but I was only about 8 years old. And I always said no because I saw my dad speaking and he would absolutely crush it. And I never realized how much of a rock star he was until obviously I got involved myself. And I always said no. I said, I don't want to be holding a pen, drawing circles, because I'm too nervous. I just shake. And if that's what I have to do to be successful, that's what I don't want to do. So growing up, back to your question, growing up was interesting. He was always at home. He was always on the phone. And I learned so much of how to communicate with other people, just how he communicates with other people. And I loved seeing him do his one-on-ones, his two-on-ones, his group meetings. I loved how he told me off when I made too much noise, running past his office. I loved the fact that when birthdays and Christmas came on, it was always way over the top. I remember one day, and I feel I'm so grateful and blessed to be in the position I'm in. I remember waking up on one Christmas day, and there was a massive pile of presents there, and I remember opening them faster than I could ever even look at what I was getting. And he said, you know what we need to do now, we need to put all the paper in the bin bags, and what we need to do, we need to take those bin bags round to where we put our trash. And we went in, it was in back past the garage, and we went into the garage. It's a big three phase garage. And what happened is we opened the garage door, and there was a tennis table. And I remember thinking, oh my God, Santa's brought a tennis table. This is table tennis table. This is unbelievable. And he said, okay, just go around the corner. And there was a pinball machine. I remember thinking, oh my God, what's happened? This is the best day ever. And then we went upstairs because above the garage was like a room, and there was a scale electric set all around the room. And in the middle of the room was a brand shiny new pool table. And at the time, that was probably going back to maybe 18 years ago. That was just the best day of my life. And I asked my dad when I was growing up, when I got a little bit older, Dad, how did you be able to afford that? And he said, network marketing gave you everything that you've imagined. Your trips away to places like Whistler and Vancouver, to the Maldives, all these amazing places, gave you education, it gave the cars. Obviously, your mum and dad drove. But as I've got older, he's turned that lifestyle from giving me everything I wanted, I'm so grateful for, to listen, you need to now make your own path in network marketing. I think it's the best choice for you. So growing up with my dad has just been unbelievable, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's very, very inspiring. You said that your first meeting was when you were in the mom's womb, right? Your first meeting ever went 1987. So you basically, and this is so interesting because most people say, oh, network marketing doesn't work. Probably for you, how old were you when you first realized that network marketing, most people are not successful in network marketing? Because you probably only saw success, probably is the easiest thing, or not the easiest thing, but you're expected to be successful because that's what you're surrounded with. So how old were you when you kind of realized, hey, actually not many people are that successful in this, and my dad's a rock star?
Well, the people that I always used to see my dad with was obviously his close inner circle, and they were all successful because obviously he'd influenced them and put a massive, he's helped them hugely, and they were all high income earners as well. So I only really surrounded myself with, as obviously a youngster, with his successful inner circle. So I never really saw the failure rate and the people that kind of didn't didn't make it. And that was from literally age 8 till age maybe 18, 20 odd, maybe about 10 plus years. And I grew an amazing relationship. They've basically been kind of like second fathers, second mothers, godfathers, godparents, and all that. So I've only kind of really accepted the successful people that's kind of in network marketing. Obviously, going on my own as well, I've learned it's otherwise. But it's my dad's nature is always be positive and always surround yourself with massive success. So we kind of didn't have any negativity on our household, whether that's people walking in the front door or even our family behavior.
Yeah. So you said about 18, 20 when you finally realized that not everyone's successful in network marketing?
I was probably older. It was probably a year before I even joined. Probably when I was about 23 is when I realized, actually, this is not just, a win-win situation in terms of, am I going to succeed or not?
Yeah. How old were you when you joined?
I was 24.
24. Well, so why did you finally join? Well, you said you didn't want to do networking. You're shy, quiet, introverted, low self-esteem, So why did you join?
Well, I had 3 phobias, and I went on a bit of a mission to conquer the phobias. When I hit 17, I have 3 phobias, and they're probably really weird, and people might laugh at them, but they're my phobias. Everyone's different. So the first one was roller coasters. I'm just, terrified of roller coasters. The second one was public speaking, and the third one was making phone calls. I still have a little bit of it today, but I actually don't like picking up the phone and calling someone. I don't mind if the phone rings, I'll answer it. But if I have to make a phone call, something happens and I just shut down. So on my 18th birthday, I went to Alton Towers, which is a theme park here in England. And I rode on the most ridiculous roller coaster I saw there. I hated it, but I just kept doing it and finally conquered my fear. So I've now been to America on all the roller coasters over there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't have a phobia of roller coasters anymore. The second one was actually making phone calls. So after that, literally a week after I come back from Alton Towers, I actually got a job, which was quite lucky. I got a job as an estate agent here in the UK. So I was 18, so I was quite young to be in that game. But my job was basically to cold call vendors that were on the market with other estate agents and see if they'd be interested in lower rates to sell their house. So I had to physically make phone calls. And I did that for 4 years while I was going through college and university. And I absolutely hated it. But eventually I got over that phobia. And then the last thing was public speaking. And I put it off and put it off and put it off. And the reason why, I don't know what it was in my body, but I just couldn't get the words out. So much so that in the UK, we have to do English literature and English language as part of our O-levels, as part of our GCSEs exams. And as part of that, you have to do an oral exam, which means you basically have to speak about something you're passionate about. And I had a massive passion for golf at the time. And I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't do it. So much so that I put it off and put it off and put it off. And one day my teacher came to me, I was 16, and he said, "Frazer, if you do not do this oral exam today in front of your classmates, then we're going to have to fail you for English." And being an English person, failing English is embarrassing. You can imagine, right? It's so embarrassing. So I said to him, "Listen, can I do it in front of you?" And he said, "Yes." One-on-one, did it in front of him, did it, passed it, thankfully passed the English exam. So I think when my dad told me about network marketing, I thought, you know what, this is the chance for me to actually get over the fear properly of public speaking. And in fact, it was such an embarrassing, I don't really tell many people this, but my first speech on stage, I actually burst into tears. It was the moment I think I conquered my phobia. And it was realized, and it all just came to me real fast. I was 24. Some of my friends were in the audience and they were laughing their heads off, but I was just overwhelmed with emotion. And that was the day I conquered all 3 of my phobias. And I'm thankful to not have any more phobias now. So yeah, I succeeded with that.
What gave you the desire, the mindset to fight those phobias? Because I think that's success is about the inner game, right? The mindset. So even though you had those phobias, you had a winning mindset to fight them. Because a lot of people just say, "Hey, I'm scared of roller coasters. Why should I freak myself out? Maybe even give a heart attack doing something like that." But you kept on going over. Where did you get the desire from? That just to I have a phobia, but I'm going to do something about it instead of settling. Hey, that's the way I am.
Well, yeah, it was the fear. It was actually another kind of phobia that kind of created all it. And it was the fear of missing out. I saw all these people having a great time, or what appeared like a great time on a roller coaster. I saw people, making loads of money in the real estate by making cold calls. I saw, obviously, my dad public speaking. I thought, you know what? I've got to get over these phobias if I want to have a better life and be able to make more money. So it was really a fear of kind of missing out. So I just forced myself to just get over it.
I think that's a huge aha moment, MLM Nation. I'm going to talk about this as a recap and review. It's like, Frazer really put it. I love the way you put it, because you have these fears, but the biggest fear is you're going to miss out on life.
Exactly.
By accepting the fears. And I think, missing out on life, doing, not having the fun, not being able to enjoy this, not, being able to experience the opportunities because of these small little things, basic fears. I mean, anyone can overcome them. And that's actually brilliant. Like the fear of missing out on life motivated you to fight those fears.
Mm-hmm.
So, I find it fascinating. So how do you get the hunger? Like, a lot of people who grew up in wealthy families, right? Like
mm-hmm.
You have a pool table, ping pong table, all that stuff in your house. How do you have the hunger to excel? Where did you get the hunger desire from?
Well, it was actually when I hit 18. As soon as I hit 18, people look at me and people don't understand. I've got a huge pressure to succeed. I was a massive introvert, low self-esteem, but I also had the pressure to succeed. And both my parents were successful. And I was obviously my dad's eldest son. So I kind of had to succeed. So 18 came. I remember my dad got me a black Mini Cooper, and I was absolutely over the moon, and
That's not a bad gift for 18-year-old.
Oh, it was honestly, it was incredible. It was the best gift I've ever had. And my dad gave me the keys and said, "This is the last thing you'll receive from me in terms of monetary value." And I remember looking at it and thinking, that's the best thing you've ever done, Dad. Thank you so, so much. And he gave me the keys. I remember it was awesome. Drove off. It was class. And from that moment onwards, I thought, I have to design my own path. I'm going to have the guidance and the support of my mother and father, but I have to design a life for myself. And I want my own money. I don't want to have to go to Dad and say, "Oh, Dad, I really like this, but I haven't got the money. Can you give me the money?" Blah, blah, blah. And him basically saying, no, I wanted to get my own money. So I kind of created my own desire, especially being behind the wheel of the Mini, thinking I want to be behind the wheel of a BMW or a Ferrari or Lamborghini. And my dad's not going to be able to do that for me. I'm going to have to do it for myself. And there's nothing more embarrassing than basically having to ask your mum and dad for money. I think being able to fend for yourself is one of the most attractive things you can do. So I still live at home, but the reason for that is because I want more mentorship from my father day in, day out. And I also help him. He's actually been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. He didn't mention that on his podcast. So I help him out with lots of different things around the house as well. So yeah, he's awesome.
So when you got started, this is 24, you joined MLM.
Mm-hmm.
How did you overcome your introvertness and low self-esteem? How did you do that? Because a lot of MLM Nation listeners, because that was something that affected me. But I wanted to hear from you. How did you overcome that to become where you are today?
Well, yeah. So I always got taught, there was two routes to go. There was lead with the product or lead with the business. And it's literally day one. I remember actually phoning 4 of my friends who lived in my village and said, "Guys, you've got to come round to the house. I want to talk to you about this incredible opportunity." And I got them round to the house. And I remember doing probably the world's worst presentation. There couldn't be a worse presentation, right? It was just awful. And I remember all 4 of the guys joined. I remember asking them, "Why did you join?" And they said, "You." And that was when I realized this isn't about opportunity marketing, product marketing. This is about relationship marketing. So I decided from that point onwards, I'm going to lead with the relationship. I'm a massive introvert, but I can build a relationship with anyone, whether it's basically texting them or sending them a voice message or a voicemail or anything like that. So I actually built predominantly all of my network marketing business from using SMS, WhatsApp, or Facebook Messenger or Skype. In fact, one of the best things that's happened to me in my network marketing business so far is I actually cold found someone using Skype. There used to be a little lead generation system within Skype where you could search for people with a keyword and location. So I literally searched MLM Liverpool, and 2 Russian people came up. And I thought, oh, they're Russian, they're not going to understand English. So I actually communicated with them and saying, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Individually, "Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Frazer, what's your name?" Sort of thing, which is the most stupid message to put out on Skype because it already tells you their name. But it's what I was doing. I was naive. I was young. I was testing what I was doing. Anyway, one guy came back to me and We were back and forth. Anyway, I ended up inviting him around to my house. And again, massive introvert. And you've got to think what's going through my head. I've got a Russian guy who looks a little bit like Steven Seagal coming to my house. I'm 24. I'm wearing flip-flops, board shorts, and a vest. He bounces up to the house, walks up the driveway, and he has the Russian kind of walk, the big solid walk. And he's a big guy. And he comes up and he goes, "Hello, Frazer. My name's Sergey," in a Russian accent. I'm not going to do the Russian accent today. And we built the friendship, the relationship. We've basically become brothers. And he alone is responsible for about 10,000, maybe 11,000 people within my organization right now. We've become best friends. And it was that point onwards I realized my best friends in the business have become my best distributors. And it's not just frontline to me, it's within my organization. My best distributors are also best friends of best friends. And it doesn't start out as best friends. It was the relationship we procured over time. And how I overcame that with my introvertness, being a massive introvert, was just basically focusing on just making friends with people and just trying to just be real and don't be a salesman, because I couldn't sell anything. I didn't sell one house in 4 years as an estate agent. It was ridiculous. So yeah, I just kind of just thought, relationship. And I do that every single day on Facebook now with different people around the world. So yeah, building the relationship is definitely the way I got over my introversy.
So that's fascinating. So you just message people, whether it's WhatsApp, Facebook, Skype, and then you build a relationship, and eventually that leads to a phone call, and then they meet you. Is that the prospecting process?
Well, yeah, I would say 80% of the people I've signed up, I've never actually spoken to verbally. But once they've joined, I've then contacted them, reached out to them verbally, and then said, "Hey, this is me." Just put a voice to the name. Nice to meet you. Let's catch up. And so I actually didn't meet many people one-on-one until I actually sponsored them into the business.
Wow. So you just send them online video links to your company. Is that what you do? How do they know about the business or the products?
I don't do that probably for 3 to 6 months of building a relationship first. I keep the business totally out of that entire process.
Got it. That is MLM Nation. That's so key. I think that's what most of you are doing wrong. You find someone on whatever Facebook, and people ask me this question: is this a good opening script to do? And then after the second interchange of messaging, is this the best thing? Invite them directly to the business. I'm like, no. You have to build a relationship. I think that's so good. MLM Nation, I don't know if you're listening to that. 3 to 6 months of relationship building. Mm-hmm. Before Frazer even brings up the business. And that's why, when you first said that you don't need to talk to them to sign up, I was like, that really happens. Yeah, it does happen. If it's not like you send a link, a stranger, hey, sign up, watch this video and sign up. They don't do that. Frazer actually spends a lot of time investing in the relationship, building, texting, building a relationship online. And once that relationship is built, like Frazer was talking about, the relationship part of it, relationship built. Once that's built, then everything else comes easy because you're really marketing yourself. People are buying you. Mm-hmm. Really good. Wow. I'm just looking through my notes here. You know what? Another thing, was your mom introverted and quiet?
Yeah, she to this day will not go on stage and speak. But she is an absolute legend in terms of the support for us. She's just absolutely incredible. She reasons with everyone. She hears everyone's piece of different angles from situations. She calms us down when things get heated. Obviously, me and my dad working together as I'm 28 now, as a 28-year-old, listening to my dad from instructions and guidance. It's not always that easy. So she comes in obviously and kind of three-way calls into the situation, so to speak. And guides us, and she's just amazing. She supports us so much. In fact, so much so that when we do events and we have to have tickets on the door, she will actually be on the door, taking tickets, booking people in, welcoming them to the event. She loves network marketing, and she thinks it's an amazing career path. And she just supports us 100%. We wouldn't be here without her, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I love your story, and I think it's a big lesson. Like sometimes people feel like, this guy's successful because he's a great speaker. Frazer, his dad is like a MLM legend. But obviously, Frazer's quiet, introverted. It's not genetics. It is through hard work, desire, the mindset. I mean, some major lessons, the mindset, the fear of missing out, the desire to do something, prove that because like Frazer didn't want to live off his dad, want to prove that he could do something. And that, so related to that, right? What was your worst moment in network marketing that maybe you wanted to quit, maybe you even regret your decision? What was your worst moment, but because you have that mindset, you kept on going, and then you learned some valuable lessons?
Well, there's two really bad moments that stand out to me, and they're probably not that bad saying it, but they actually became my best moments. And without a doubt, the worst one was when I had to speak on stage in front of 1,100 people. I think it was one of the biggest conventions we'd had at the time, and I got asked to do a speech, and I said, Dad, I can't speak in front of 100 people, let alone 1,100 people. And I did it, and it was probably the worst thing I could ever imagine. But I learned a lot from it. The second thing was actually a majority, 95% of my organization is actually outside of the UK, in countries that actually don't speak English. One of the places I had to go to was a place called Ulan-Ude, which is in the eastern part of Russia on Lake Baikal, not far from Mongolia. And I traveled over there, and it was the first time I went to Russia, and it was minus 25 degrees. And we went to like the Lake Baikal. On the Lake Baikal was minus 40 degrees. And I flew over there, and I hadn't slept for 40 hours. And I ate some dodgy food, and I had to go to the toilet. I hope I'm okay to say this on the podcast, but I had to go to the toilet, and I asked for directions, and they just said some Russian thing, but pointed. So I followed this path, and I kept going and kept going. It was snowing everywhere. It was freezing cold. And I hear this kind of like buzzing noise, like zzz. So I keep following the buzzing and getting closer and closer. And I open this shed, and I open this shed door, and I'm dying to go to the toilet. And all there is there's a hole in the floor, and all the flies are coming up from the hole in the floor. And I had to go to the toilet in this hole. And from that moment onwards, I realized I am one of the luckiest people on the planet to live where I live, how I live. And I'm going to make it a goal of mine to be able to give as many people as I can all over the world the opportunity to live at least a handful of days like I do each and every day. And that was an awful moment for me, but it was turned out to be an absolute life-changing moment.
Yeah, wow. It's like when you go to places like that, you realize how grateful how lucky you are. It makes you really see things totally differently.
Yeah,
you know those little holes. It reminds me. Since you brought up that toilet, the flies buzzing. When I was a kid, I was just sharing this the other day. When I was a kid, my parents took me to Taiwan, and they just dropped me off there for I think it's probably 3-4 weeks, but it seemed like 3 years. I was like 6 years old to learn Chinese, and my parents flew back. I was with my grandparents, and I remember it was terrible. Then it was so hot, and then we went to see my great grandmother in Hong Kong, and I saw pictures and I used to be even complaining about New York. It's hot, complaining. So I went to Hong Kong. I'm excited because in Hong Kong, you see pictures, skyscrapers. I was like, finally, air conditioning, a nice bathroom. And I go to my great grandmother's house, and I had to go to the bathroom. They said, go to the back. I went to the back because a little shed with a little hole in the ground. And I was like, what? And I was like 6 years old. And then when I went back to the U.S., I never complained. I was like, U.S. rocks. I'm never, all the stuff I said, my house was not good. My, school's not good. I never complained again. Really put things in reality. So thank you for sharing that. Now we're sharing like toilet stories here. Hey, what was your aha moment? Your aha moment that really helped your business take off?
Yeah, it was when I actually realized that people in my downline were becoming more successful and, more importantly, more excited than I was. And I thought, you know what? This is where I'm leveraging. This is when the leverage is really happening now, because if I decide to go travel with my girlfriend, or if I decide to go play golf, or even I'm sick in bed, or maybe I'm sick in Russia, then my team, with the excitement and enthusiasm and passion that they have, they're going to build this business with or without me. And I think it was when I got my first, I earned a commission of about $80. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this works. This actually works. And as soon as I thought, all I've got to do now is repeat what I've already done, and I'm just going to get $80 on, depending on how I built the business. So that was really what it was. It was the excitement of people in my team, seeing their success really, really quick, and just seeing the first real commission that came into my back office.
Yeah, that's very good. If you get one check, it works. You just have to repeat what you did. That's very good aha moment. Getting back to your prospecting methods, I just should have asked you this earlier, but I think it's so good. Like, you build your business through co-market, SMS, text, Skype, and you take 3 to 6 months to build a relationship. So for the listeners out there, can you give them some tips? What do you talk about during these, first of all, what's your opening line? So you have a stranger, like, what do you say to them? And then afterwards, what do you talk about to build that relationship up?
Well, yeah, there's a few tips on this. So basically, as you get your more confidence with it, so I'm starting off by saying, hey, how's it going? Great to be connected on Facebook. What are you excited about in 2016? So on and so on. But as I got more confident, I started using the dictaphone feature on Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp. So instead of typing it, I actually did an audio, which I found to be more personal. But what I always find is there's a percentage of people who don't even reply. There's a percentage of people who go, who are very, very like blocked off to you in the sense you're gonna pitch them. So obviously it's a numbers game. So what I used to do is I found that small talk kept getting in the way, like back and forward. And it was like, when do I go to the next step of mentioning the business, or when do I go to the next step about mentioning family and all that? And I decided I would implement 2 very, very simple but very deep questions. And I'm going to tell you the questions. I'll ask you the questions, but be prepared. They are deep questions. So the first question is, what one thing do you want to do before you die? Okay. So people are starting to think, and the majority of them, to be honest, out of the thousands of people I've asked this to, the majority of them are, I want to travel. But I go so deep that it's so important to dig so deep on the connection. I go, well, where do you want to travel to? What do you want to do when you travel? So I want to go to Australia. Why do you want to go to Australia? I want to go to the Great Barrier Reef. Why do you want to go to the Great Barrier Reef? So I want to go swim with sharks, or I want to go scuba diving, or I want to see the Nemo fish, or whatever. Or there's different examples of that. And then after that, after a bit of, to and fro, and like, who would you take with you? How long would you go for? Have you got a vehicle to get you to do that dream? Then after that, I ask the really, really, really deep question, which cements the connection. And it is, if you were told today you would die tomorrow, what would you do? And they really start thinking about it, and the connection just goes into insane new levels. And the answer pretty much all the time, I'd say 97 out of 100 times, is I want to be with my family. And I go in there and saying, it's awesome, and I kind of connect it all up. So I say, isn't it awesome that you can live a life traveling the world, and if you can take your family with you each and every day, then if it's your last day, then you're going to be having the time of your life. So it's your goal really to be able to live each day, live the rest of your days as best you can, doing what you really want to do. And if you haven't got a vehicle or a goal or a way to make that happen, then you nearly need to be thinking that plan through. So I usually use those 2 questions. They're my kind of killer questions.
Real awesome. So you throw these questions out pretty quickly in the beginning?
When there's a bit of back and forth with the conversation, I don't just throw it out to like strangers who haven't like back and forth.
Right. You doesn't back and forth small talk. Right. I see. And how do you find people? Is this specific criteria filter that you say, hey, this person is not worth wasting my time? This person is good. Do you spend time checking people's profiles? What's your filter?
Well, yeah. So I don't really judge anyone. I kind of let them have, give them a chance to start with. So I tend to add a lot of people. I don't go on like home-based business groups or anything within Facebook and all that sort of stuff. I tend to search for people who have the same interests as me. So let's say health and fitness, or golf, or travel, or people who have visited Dubai, or people who have visited Kazakhstan, or people who have watched the same sort of movie, or my favorite movies, or my favorite books. I find those groups and then build a relationship based on that until I feel the time is relevant to kind of ask those 2 big questions. And after the 2 big questions, when the connection's, wild and really, really deep and meaningful, then I kind of go in with the opportunity. And when I go in with the opportunity, I tend to send them a video, but I kind of done my own video. So it's more personal. So it's not just like a generic opportunity video, but it's more kind of me sharing my story on a video basis. So I've just shot the video once and I just use it time and time again.
Awesome stuff. This is really good stuff. And because once you go to, I like the way you just go to groups. Like if you like golf, you go to golf groups because there's something in common. It's easy to talk about that. Because really good stuff. This has been awesome. Hey, I know your time is valuable, so we have to kind of wrap up the show, but some really quick questions to pick your brain. Okay. And one of them is, what is one of your favorite success quotes that motivates you?
I think it's strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value to other people.
What is one habit that's helped you become successful?
Consistently speaking I aim to get 5 to 10 new relationships online every single day. It's not easy, but it's definitely been worth it. Obviously, a lot of those don't reply to you and all that. So I try and consistently reach out to 10 people every single day online.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Never, ever, 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 ever quit. I mean, my dad said to me, he said, to be a master at anything, you need to basically spend 10,000 hours doing it. So it's funny because after 3 years, I jot every single hour I do in the business, whether it's 5 hours, 10 hours, 1 hour, half hour, whatever. And literally about 13, 14 months ago, I hit the 10,000 hour mark. And from that point on, I had a massive, massive spike in enrollments in my business. Literally an hour after that, it was insane. And ever since that moment, I always thought, you know what? If I can teach people never to quit and at least do 10,000, I know it's a lot and it's daunting, but to at least do 10,000 hours of network marketing work, and I mean network marketing work, then eventually you're going to be a master.
Yeah, and that's so true. It's 10,000 hours. And for the MLM Nation, you don't know what Frazer's talking about. It's Malcolm Gladwell. I think he in his book Outliers or Outliers, for those in Canada pronounce it, in his book 10,000 hours. If you want to be a super, super rock star, you need to put 10,000 hours in there. Now, you can still make some money by doing 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours, but to be a legend, you need 10,000 hours of commitment to really learn it. And there's a great book, by the way, Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. Talks, they analyze the Beatles, Bill Gates, what they did in programming. And but the sad thing is network marketing distributors, they don't even get to Frazer, they don't even get to 1,000 hours. Because 1,000 hours, you can probably make some good part-time income in MLM. But most people, they do like maybe 10 hours. They talk to a couple of friends. Oh, it doesn't work. And they quit. And you never achieve any type of success if you have that type of attitude.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So you may have mentioned this before. Your favorite prospecting tool will be an online video with you sharing your story. Is that it?
Yeah, try and keep it as personal as possible. I tend to use capture pages with a very, very short video. And then I use a bridge video after that. As like, which is me basically bridging the gap from curiosity to kind of, seeing more information. And then the final step of the kind of the system is kind of the sales page with all the highlights of the business. It's funny because when I was from 8 years old to 15 years old, I used to help my dad make his information packs. So we used to get a prospect and he basically say, right, Frazer, we've got a prospect. What do we need to do? So I get this folder, this little like a plastic folder. So we need one of those. It's about 10 pieces of paper with all this different information. You say, right, now we need to go to the post box in the post office and we need to put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, write their address, send it. And then we'll wait for the phone to ring with that for them to see what they liked. And 9 times out of 10, the phone didn't ring. And we did thousands of them. I must have become a master at packing those parcels. It was crazy. But yeah, I use a lot of online video. I think it's the best way.
Awesome stories. Do you have a favorite online resource like a Dropbox or Evernote or a favorite app on your phone you could recommend?
Yeah, I've actually been using a new one called Airtime Media. It's kind of the combination of WhatsApp and Skype. It's really good for network marketing. Sean Parker, the $1 billion guy from Facebook, just launched it recently. If you can actually go on there, invite your prospects and watch a YouTube video or a presentation together and communicate whilst it's going on as well. And you can see their kind of their engagement with it as well. So I think it's an app by Sean Parker that's been made for network marketers called Airtime Media.
What's one book you could recommend to MLM Nation?
The Richest Man in Babylon. I think it's the best book, especially for network marketers, just to learn how it's great making all the money, but it's so important to keep as much money as you can and keep it working for yourself as well, not just making it and spending on flash watches and cars and houses. Very, very, very important to keep as much as you can.
And I believe that book's by George Clayson. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
George Clayson. And MLM Nation, I know you love audio, so if you haven't already, you can get an amazing free audiobook like The Richest Man in Babylon for free at MLMNationBook.com. That is MLMNationBook.com. Now, Frazer, here's the last question. You may have answered it again before, but it's the $1 million question. You ready?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Imagine you had to start all over again and you knew no one. So you didn't even know your dad, you know your downlines, but you don't have any Facebook friends, no one. But all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you would do to find prospects and build an MLM business from scratch?
Well, yeah, I would actually keep it. I would get into a situation which is relevant to what I'm doing. So if I'm in a health and nutrition company, I'd go to a gym. And what I would do, or if I was in a travel lifestyle kind of opportunity, I'd go outside a travel agency. I don't know what it's like in America, but in the UK, they have travel agencies that offer like really cheap deals on the outside window. And people are always staring into the window looking at the prices. So I'd go up to them and I'd strike, conversation. Another place as well, which might seem a bit weird, but I'd go to a bank where people are depositing money, withdrawing money, and I would kind of get in conversations, but I wouldn't be pitching. Again, focus on the relationship and get the details from those people by being funny, charming, or however way that's going to suit your personality, and then follow up with them at a later, more convenient time. Don't pitch anyone in a bank about making money.
This has been such an awesome episode. Thank you so much, Frazer. And no wonder your dad is so proud of you. I don't know if I know you're busy. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the episode. It just got released. And when I asked him what's the most proudest moment in network marketing, and he said it was your success.
Yeah, he's my hero.
Yeah, I don't want to make you tear up, just like the way you got on stage.
Got me.
But yeah, he said that was his proudest moment in network marketing, watching your success. And it's just very inspiring. It's huge nuggets. And I'm going to do a quick recap later after this, MLM Nation, about all the nuggets of wisdom that Frazer just shared with us, from the prospecting to the mindset. As we wrap up, Frazer, do you have any last words of advice? And then what's the best way our listeners can connect with you and contact you?
Yeah, well, I would focus on this. Focus on turning strangers to friends and friends to family. When I say family, obviously your family, you're going to be making some amazing relationships in network marketing. The more amazing they are, the more close they are, the more deeper connection you have with them, the closer they're going to be. And from my experience, the better the distributor they're going to be. They won't quit on you, and all that. So the best way to connect with me is through Facebook. It's facebook.com/FBrooks. If you ever need any advice on the Facebook or network marketing, feel free to reach out. I'm an ambassador and a student of MLM. So let's connect on there. Facebook's definitely the easiest way with me.
MLM Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today you've been hanging out with Frazer Brookes. So keep up the momentum and go to MLMNation.net and type in Frazer. That's Frazer or Frazer for those not in the US at the search bar. And all the show notes is linked. Definitely connect with Frazer. Check him out on Facebook. Learn what he's doing. Tremendous amounts of wisdom for such a young man. Really, really good episode. Frazer, in order to be successful in network marketing, you must help others. So thanks again for sharing your valuable time with MLM Nation. We're grateful to you and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you again so much, Frazer, and God bless you.
Thanks so much, Simon. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone, that's the show. I told you it was oldie, but still goodie and still applies today. Right? Talk about traction marketing, being the person of value. So make sure you do that. Go to the show notes page. If you don't follow Frazer, definitely go follow him. Amazing trainer, great resources, teaching about social media. Amazing, by the way, world-class speaker as well. I had a chance to speak with him at Rob Sperry's Leaders of Leaders Mastermind last year. I was blown away by how good he has become. He's amazing. So definitely connect with him as well. Let him know you heard him on the show. And by the way, subscribe to the archives. Go to MLM Nation. Wherever your podcast player or even on the YouTube channel, go and subscribe to the archive. You see all the oldies, the classics, and especially when the leaders, before they became, this interview was done before people really knew who Frazer was, right? We've been doing it for almost 10 years now. This is actually this year will be the 9th year anniversary coming up for MLM Nation. So these leaders, a lot of them like the Meltons, before they became big time, but they were still, you knew they were going to be good by the vision, how confident they were, and the principles they were using from day one, they never changed. So make sure you subscribe to MLM Nation Archives. And let me know, hit me up. Let me know if you like these old classics. And now it's over to you. I'll keep it short. Make sure you take action and apply what you learned and go out there, have a positive impact on someone's life. God bless you all.